when it was a revaluation year, and that was a solid waste fee. The solid waste fee was $80 per year per household. That did not cover the cost of solid waste collection, recycling, and yard debris at that time. It would not cover the cost of that service now. However, it would provide maybe about a third, actually, of the cost if it were in place. The projection, just based on some rough numbers that we've done on households we currently have in town, which this number grows, but if you think about that, our raw cost grows every day a new house is added to. So we're adding anywhere from 25 to 40 new houses per month, and that does fluctuate, but just for planning purposes, we're looking at roughly 25 houses per month at a minimum right now. We've had 30-month houses, or 30 house months. We've had up to 40, but we do continue to add houses. So right now, if we did have the solid waste fee back in place as part of the annual tax bill, and that would be one way it could be allocated or addressed, would be about $460,000 a year that would be generated, while the total solid waste recycling and yard debris contract is going to be about $1.24 million next year, roughly. So about a third, rough numbers, of that cost would potentially be covered. The billing method, if that were something that we pursued and looked at, would be a simple line on the tax bill where we'd have to let Union County know to add that, and it would have a solid waste fee / Waxhaw collected as part of the tax bill, remitted from the county to the town. So that is one the town has utilized in the past. It is used widely across the state. It is not something that's unique. Most, if not a lot of the larger municipalities that are providing a higher level of service for solid waste and or recycling are utilizing some form of the fee. They don't all recover 100%, but they generally do cover some percentage and look at that. That is one that's been utilized here in town before. It is earmarked specifically for what you're paying for, so it's there's no secret as to where the money goes. It's actually on the bill. The second option that the town would have.
How does the rate, it's somewhere in the neighborhood of $6 to $7 a month, how does that compare across municipalities?
It varies, and it varies because the cost to collect also varies across municipalities depending on the type of service that they provide, the frequency of service, and then whether it's automated one-arm trucks or whether it's rear loaders. And quite frankly, the size of the municipality and where they dump. Because if you think about that service, solid waste fees, a part of that is you're paying a disposal fee that gets passed along as part of the contract. So those costs vary depending upon the municipality and where they have to take the trash.
So, Gregory, your 460 calculation is still on the 80 annually.
If it were $80 annually, it would be $460. The other option that's out there that's already authorized by state law is a vehicle fee. A vehicle fee is currently authorized by state law, and it's set up in three parts actually. In total, it can be $30 per vehicle per year. However, there are restrictions placed on how those proceeds or revenues can be utilized. And so I'm going to take the first $5 and just talk about how it's set up. The first $5 can only be used for transit or transit-related services. So if you run a bus system, or if you run a train system, light rail, or you are a participant in one of those endeavors, then you could levy that first $5. So that one basically is off the table. So that leaves $25 as being feasible under the existing legislation. The legislation provides that of the 25, $5 can be used for any authorized governmental function. So you can use it on parks, you can use it on downtown pedestrian enhancements, you can use it on anything that the government, local government is authorized to use it on. So that's the $5. You could use it on transportation. So it's because it's a vehicle fee, it's not restricted, it's any use. The remaining 20 is restricted to transportation and transportation-related purposes. So that clearly is the General Assembly saying, because it's a vehicle fee, we want you to spend most of it, on transportation. So 20 and 5, or 25 in total, and then the locality gets to decide how you want to split up the revenues, and if you want to reserve some of it for general purposes, or if you want to take all $25 and use it for transportation-related purposes.
Do they include sidewalks and transportation?
Sidewalks, bridges, overpasses, roadways, turn lanes, signals, everything you can kind of think of that tells a car or even a bicycle where to go.
They haven't restricted the definition. That's good.
It's pretty broad. So just rough order of magnitude, if we're breaking let me give you the total number first. If you had the entire $25 based on roughly 12,300 vehicles, it's about $307,000 a year that would be generated. If you break it out into the two pieces that the legislation allows, it's about $61,000 based on the $5 piece, and it's about $246,000 based on the $20 piece. So 5 could be any general authorized use that government can do, and 20 or $264,000 would have to go toward transportation. These
Can I
are,
ask, sorry.
go ahead.
Do any of the municipalities around us use this?
I don't know of any in this county that do, but there are a number in other counties that do, particularly Mecklenburg County's got almost all of the jurisdictions are using some version of it, whether they're doing 20 or 30.
The ones that do, this is a regressive tax. This is going to hit the lower incomes harder because it's a flat fee for everyone. Is there a mechanism to discount for lower income people, or no?
No, it's just it's a tax, basically fee, however you want to call it,
It's a wheel tax.
that is based on the vehicle, and with the assumption that income knows no boundary when the car goes down the street. It's a car on the street, so it's basically a use tax of sorts that the cars are impacting the street. So in most localities, what I've seen is that they are reserving the majority of it, if not all of it, for transportation-related purposes. But again, the $5 side of it allows for flexibility there, where you could use it for parks, or you could use that for sidewalks and pedestrian enhancements. It's generally flexible there, but a lot of the localities have said we want to put all or almost all of it to transportation.
It just concerns me whenever we talk about a tax that's going to disproportionately hit the people in our community that have the least left to give. It's just something I think we should be concerned about. We should think about before we move on anything like this.
So those are the
Just a point around on the surrounding municipalities, most of them do not even participate in the Powell bill funding.
I know.
So,
I know.
So we're talking about if we were to do the $80 and the $25, $105, so annually or monthly, that would be approximately $8.9 a month for each. For almost $800,000. 700,000. No, almost 800,000. Okay.
760, if you did both pieces, 767. Those are the two that are currently authorized by law that you have access to immediately. There are other revenue streams that are more specialized that you currently don't have access to utilize, so we're not even going to talk about those right now. They are things that you can use for tourism and park development and downtown tourism-related type stuff, but because they're not authorized, it's really not. These are the two that are really there that we wanted to bring to you to suggest that we need to think about those. Where we're at from a budgetary standpoint is that we're still significantly at a gap, even after a lot of work on the budget, and we have more work to do, but we're in the ballpark of about $460,000 difference in revenues and projected expenditures for next year. So we don't have it figured out yet as far as what we're going to bring to you in May. So we're looking seriously at where we need to go. One thing that Lisa may want to speak to is that when the decision was made a few years back to discontinue the fee, there was a thought process that there would be an increase in the tax rate and it would offset the fee. It really didn't offset the fee completely. It partially offset the fee, or the loss of the fee, but it did not, due to the revaluation, offset that cost. The thing that's occurred since then, if you recall, is that we have instituted, based on a lot of requests and efficiency on the other side, the new recycling program, which includes a much larger container that does two things. One, it keeps the community cleaner because recycling material is not blowing down the street because there's a lid on it now. Two, it's going to increase the volume that we see removed from the solid waste stream and go into the recycling stream because we've more than doubled the capacity. We took an 18-gallon open top bucket that was picked up every 2 weeks, and now have a 96-gallon container that's picked up every other week. So we've more than doubled the capacity, however you look at that. And it's a single stream type operation where the number and amount of recyclables has increased, so more things can be disposed of. We hope to see the participation continue to go up, and then the solid waste stream go down. That did have a cost, and so from an annualized perspective, that's over $70,000 of new cost that we are picking up. We'll have an entire full year of that next year. We only had a partial year this year because we instituted it in February, so we're not bearing the full cost, but that is new. It's a new service level, and it's really predicated on a couple things. Was that efficiency, but really we had a lot of residents that called public services and asked for larger containers and asked for the ability to recycle more because they felt like they wanted to. And so there's a lot of feedback there. Marion got a lot about the desire to go to that, and it's a good thing overall.
Just as a point of reference, excuse me, when we talk about 400,000, the 760,000, how does that translate into pennies on the tax bill? In other words, how many pennies would we have to add to our tax rate to generate $760,000?
I think it would be about 3.
Okay, thank you.
And we get you the exact number,
No,
but
that's okay.
that's
It's a
ballpark.
broad ballpark, yeah.
2 years ago, the number being used was a penny. It was about equivalent of about 186 to 192,000. So 600 to 700,000, that would put it in the 3-penny range. So maybe a little bit more, but
that's kind of where we are. Snapshot. That's not to say that we're done. We've got a lot of work, and I would like to thank the department heads for doing a really good job of what you're going to see this year. Is I wasn't here for the previous versions, but we've started from the ground up as far as constructing a budget, and it's not just what we had last year plus 1 or 2. This has involved a lot of meetings with department heads and detail, and so we feel pretty good about where we're starting from, and the point, this budget going forward is something that we feel like we've got a lot of detail and input on department level up. So process has been pretty intensive.
nervous when somebody feels good about a $500,000 gap, but we'll just move on to the next agenda.
It's better than $2 million gap, so.